everybody. Welcome to another episode of You Missed It. Woo! My name is Zach, and I was the one to pick the movie for this episode. It was Sam Rami's A Simple Plan. This movie, to me, is very underrated for a lot of reasons. It didn't make a lot of money at the box office. It actually didn't even make its budget, which was pretty shitty. On top of that, I mean, it seems like nobody's seen it. I know Watch Mojo put it as the number one most underrated movie of the 1990s, and it was the second most underrated of all time, actually. So it's pretty crazy as well. But anybody who did see it seemed to really like it. I mean, I guess we'll find out today from all y'all, but critically anyways. Yeah, and the movie stars Billy Bob Thornton, Bill Paxton, and Bridget Fonda, among other peoples. Got that Gary Cole, too, coming in later on in the film. But in a nutshell, it's a, Simple Plan's got a pretty simple plot at first. I mean, it's just three dudes, who end up strolling off in the woods, and they find an abandoned plane with $4.4 million. In a duffel bag, and they're kind of like, we should hold on to it, we don't know what to do with it, but maybe hold on to it and see if anybody's looking for it. If nobody's looking for it, then hey, we get to keep the money, and then shit goes down. It's kind of a downward spiral.
Yes, it's not so much of a simple plan at all, which no. I think that was sort of the point of the title.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it seems simple, but then it gets more complicated and worse as it goes on. But I always kind of revisit this movie every couple years, and I do really like it. I also like how Sam Rami is known for kind of having a distinct style and like being very flashy and things like that. But this one, I liked how he kind of stepped back and he kind of honed like a serious drama and things like that. There's still little quips and things of his, but he kind of did something very different here that I really liked. He also, at this time, he wasn't really writing. He kind of stepped back from the writer's chair as well. I thought he did a really good job, but I'd like to hear what you guys think. So I'll start off with Andrew. What do you think about A Simple Plan?
Well, again, always disappointed that these movies aren't incorporating the bands that they're based on. But
although the score was an improvement this time around.
It was totally. Yeah, 98, man. Big differences, advancement. No, I liked it. I totally agree. So as a Sam Raimi movie, I thought that the beginning of the film, like for maybe the first 30 minutes, it felt very Sam Raimi. I was getting all those touches of he has to kind of make things funny all the time. Like just touches of it. He can take things seriously, but he always has to have a little bit of levity. Which he had, because the whole, at least the first 30 minutes of the movie for me was, this is just Dumb Criminals, the movie. Like it felt like just a comedy of errors. Like they were just so stupid. All of them were so stupid at the beginning. And then it completely contrasted at the end where I was like, this is actually taking itself very seriously. Towards the end, I thought like it was devoid of humor at the end. Mm-hmm. So for me, I didn't mind that. I like the Raiminess of the beginning. Right. I did like that. But I also liked it when it took itself seriously. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed the fact that the brothers, the brother character kind of, the fact that he had so much depth at the end of it, because he seemed like such a cartoonish character at the beginning. Mm-hmm. They all kind of did. And then they all kind of got developed in a way that gave them some depth, and I appreciated that. That's something that Sam Raimi can do pretty well, I think. So at first, like watching the movie from the beginning, I thought, I don't think I'm going to like this that much. I think I might enjoy it. But then towards the end, I mean, I thought it improved a lot really quickly. And I ended up liking it more than I thought. I could see why it's underrated. Mm-hmm. I understand why maybe people didn't go out to see it, just because of maybe the kind of movie it is. it just seems simple, just in concept, it seems really simple, but it it had more depth than I thought it would have from the beginning, like based off of the beginning. And if you just read the plot synopsis, you might think that as well. Oh, well, it's some, they find money and they're just, dumb criminals. They're not criminals trying to be criminals. Whatever.
Yeah. We've seen that set up many times before of like finding this lost treasure and like, oh, we'll hold on to it and all that, and what are we going to do with it? So yeah, it
felt familiar. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. It's just which is why I see why people wouldn't do it. But they brought, like I said, they brought depth at the end, that relationship with the brother, and that whole family, actually, the father, brother, the two brothers, and even for me, the only shallow character, or the one, I mean, they added a bit of depth to her. I wouldn't say that she's really shallow, but his wife. I feel like she was a little like cartoonishly evil for a while there, but then they kind of brought like, oh, she's just a little unhappy with her life. So there was a little bit of depth there, but they didn't really fully explore it. Mm-hmm. But I can't really fault the film for that too much. It did a pretty good job tying everything together. So I guess just to sum up, I liked it. I thought it was solid. It was good enough. It wasn't great, but it was very good. Mm-hmm. That's where I would land.
The other thing too that I want to point out as well is another reason it probably didn't make a lot of money is just like kind of who they cast. I mean, there's nobody who was really huge. I mean, Billy Bob Thornton obviously had Sling Blade, where he won an Oscar for it not long before it. But other than that, I mean, yeah, you would know Bridget Fonda and you would know Bill Paxton if you'd seen movies, but they're not like big stars or anything like that. So there is that as well. I mean, at one point, like, I know Brad Pitt was attached and stuff like that. He almost played the main role, but then obviously that didn't work out. It went through a lot of hands, actually. But Alex, what do you think about this simple plan?
I really liked it.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's a nice, quiet film. A lot of moral and ethical dilemmas, such as what I think most of us face these days, just being regular people, like the characters were in the story, because life here in the Western world could be made better with money. But once you get that money, it's just like Biggie said, more money, more problems.
Yeah.
All those problems associated with having more money, especially such an injection, like a huge injection of money like that, $4.4 million.
All at once.
And he's in a grain factory. I don't know what he'd be making in $1998, but it probably couldn't be more than 10, 12 an hour, maybe. Who knows?
Enough.
Not enough. Definitely not enough.
Yeah.
And the tone and the feel of the film, like I had seen a few Raimi films before, and this to me was a mixture of Fargo, which was from 2 years previous, especially with the pale color of it.
Yeah.
And then Red Rock West, which was 3 years previous to that. Like it had some really quiet moments, and it was an overall a really good film. I had seen the VHS cover in movie stores years and years and years ago, and I always thought, well, I'm going to see that one, and then it just never happened until now. So I'm glad you picked this one.
Well, thank you.
I don't know that I would have had any suggestions, like maybe they should have gone this way or done that different, because of they're just digging themselves deeper with every choice they make, and then everything that happens to them and how they react to that. And that pulled me in, because at the beginning, they're just regular guys in a small town, especially the main character, Hank, played by Bill Paxton. But as we go through the film and we see the choices he makes because of the money and because he wants this better life for himself and his family, obviously, then I think it kind of changes him. So by the end, he's still a normal guy with his normal job and his family in his small town. But we've seen what he's done, and he's not the kind of person you'd want to hang around with for a long time.
No.
Normal as he looks on the outside, like anyone does if you walk out onto the street. But if you knew what they did, especially him, you'd probably back away. And I think that's what the audience would have done. They would have warmed to him in the beginning because they can relate to him. but by the end they're kind of walking away from him. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Jack, what do you think of this movie?
I just gotta say, I love that Biggie Smalls.
It's such an obvious thing.
It is.
Yeah.
That actually sums up the movie, I think, really well. Just in a nutshell. Anyway, sorry, I just had to make that note. I was laughing pretty hard when you said that. I liked it. I really did dig it. I liked how deep it went. It just, as Andrew said, it started off almost a little silly, a little like this is too good to be true type of thing.
Yeah.
But that's, as the movie progressed, that's sort of what it was trying to say. It's not so simple. It's not as easy. Oh, if I had $1 million, I could do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And they're literally given that opportunity. But as you said, more money, more problems. And to me, what's interesting is when you see them before they get the money, and they all seem very content with their life. And the money sort of, when it's introduced, it's sort of like forced them to all look at themselves and like, yeah, I'm not really that happy. You know, they think the money will fix it, but deep down it made them kind of almost do a soul search. And then they get more desperate because like, oh, we have something to get out of this, but really, what do they want? Like, I don't like, besides just Billy Bob Thornton's character wanting a farm and somewhere to lay out, it's just a fantasy.
Yeah.
That's what they all think. They think this is going to fix all the problems, but it's just, as you said, it creates more and more and more problems. To me, this was, as I was going, the movie's dwindling down, I kind of just thought about this movie's is basically chaos theory in a nutshell.
Yeah, for sure.
How it's just mathematical. Just one little thing goes off and just spirals out of control.
It gets worse and worse.
Yeah, no, I thought this was actually one of Sam Rami's best shot movies by far. And it's so weird. Like, I seen this movie after me and Ryan saw Wind River yesterday, and the whole movie is all in snow.
Yeah.
And it's just really fascinating seeing like these. I thought this movie did it better than Wind River.
Really?
I thought some of the frame shots, like especially the ones that are really far away, really wide landscape shots, where majority of it is snow. So it's almost like a white canvas, but you can see these little tiny things here, very much of Fargo and all that. And I thought nearly every single shot was beautiful, just gorgeous. And yeah, no, I liked how it ended too. It just is very bittersweet. There is no happy ending out of this whole thing, and I really dug that. So I liked how Raimi really did in this movie. It felt very mature for him, especially after what he had been doing prior up to that. You know, with all the Evil Dead movies and Darkman, and then
The Quick and the Dead is the one he did right before this, which was a silly Western, right?
Yeah, so for him to do something like this, I think kind of, for me personally, it shows, okay, this guy he's not just a one-trick pony.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I thought it was very commendable on his act. And I think this was solid.
Yeah, no, and I like how also like the film kind of constantly ramps up the pace, and when you think it can't get any worse, it does. Like that's what I really like about it. It's like, oh, this has got to be like the rock bottom moment, and then it gets worse and worse and worse. That's pretty crazy. I also just wanted to add a point earlier too. You were saying that the fact about the money, about how like they're content with their lives when they get the money and things like that. And even Bridget Fonda says like early on when she first finds out about it that like, well, I mean, we don't need money. I mean, our lives are fine as it is, right?
And then suddenly they're shown what's behind door number 2.
Yeah, and then it's like greed. So I guess Rylan, that's the big one.
Yes.
Yes, what does Rylan think?
Well, I mean, I was minorly disappointed that this wasn't a documentary about the popular 2000s emo band. In all seriousness, though. Seriousness. There we go. I actually really liked this movie.
Nice.
I'm not a Sam Raimi fan in general. I've seen Darkman, which is in obscurity where it belongs, I think. And I've seen The Evil Dead, as has everybody, but unlike most people, I've never been a huge fan of that franchise either. I can appreciate 2 and 3 as comedies, but the original never did it for me. So, I mean, while I have limited exposure to Mr. Raimi's enormous library, prior to this movie, I wasn't particularly impressed. But this one's a game changer, I think. Yeah, there's not really a whole lot that I can say that hasn't already been said. Like it's a slippery slope type of story about something that was simple that quickly went to shit, and just the way it happens is fascinating, because when it starts off, basically they agree to hold on to the money until it's safe to keep it, and if they, something comes up and they have to give it back, then all they have to do is turn it in, and they won't be left off any worse than they were before. When it starts off where the worst case scenario is basically returning to the status quo. Now, as the movie progresses and more things kind of unravel and go wrong, and more is lost and people die, returning to the status quo becomes the best case scenario. But it's like you've already gone too far to turn back now. So they have to ask themselves if it's really worth it or not. And you can see that weighing on the characters throughout the course of this movie, which I really give it credit for. I really dug the depth and development they gave the characters, especially Billy Bob Thornton's character, Jacob there, because he's just a simple kind of goofball loner guy who's never really done anything with his life, but is more or less content with that. At least that's how he starts out at the beginning. But as he does all this stuff, this happens to him, he witnesses everything that's going on, he's taken apart in things that he's ashamed of. Basically, this is a character who's essentially not smart enough to perform the mental gymnastics necessary to justify these actions to himself. And so you can see the weight that it has on him by the end of it, and how I won't spoil the ending, but at the end of his arc, he's quite relieved, I think, to just be done with everything. Also, another really good character moment, I just have to say, is when that shot from below went on Bill Paxton when he's deciding whether or not to kill that farmer, and you can see the expression on his face, and you can see his eyes change when you see he's committed to do it, and that just shook.
Yeah, no, it's pretty crazy. And as the back of the DVD says, crime will always cost more than it pays. At least that was a reviewer from Entertainment Weekly.
Oh, yes, we're going to take stock out of Entertainment Weekly now. That's always a good start.
Yeah, I thought the acting, obviously it was really good. Across the board. Obviously, Billy Bob Thornton got the nomination.
Oh, he was great.
For it. He was amazing in this movie. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Bill Paxton, like everybody, I thought was really solid kind of throughout. And I just like kind of the quiet conversations, or even some of the best moments, like in the car and stuff like that, where Billy Bob Thornton's talking about like the girlfriend and stuff like that, or the supposed girlfriend, and then you find out like the backstory of that. And yeah, just those little moments are also really good. And then obviously the high intense moments that just kind of like creep up. Like you don't see them coming, because they kind of maybe are talking for a while, and then it just kind of slowly creeps in, and it becomes this really big, scene, which I really like.
That's another thing that I like too, is that it wasn't predictable. It took a whole bunch of unexpected twists and turns, especially like in the third act, introducing the FBI agent as one of the mastermind criminals from prior to the events in the movie.
Yeah, I just have to say, like, the entire time I was resisting when I saw the FBI agent come out, I was like, can you take me to where the plane is? That'd be great.
Yeah.
Gary Cole. Man,
Gary
I knew
Cole.
I recognized him for a second.
Yeah.
Dude, I didn't know who
joke.
Gary Cole was. I just like laughed at, because it was like a crow on screen, and then Gary Cole,
If he
the
had, like-
name came up. That's why I was laughing.
Yeah, he plays a crow.
Yeah, well, I was just like, it's,
If he had
funny.
his glasses on, you would have known him.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And I
That'd
was-
be great.
Okay.
But you guys didn't recognize. I told you, like, it was Dale, right?
For who?
Sorry, the one who gets shot first in the three friends.
Lou.
Lou.
Sorry,
Yeah, it's
sorry.
Lou. Yeah.
Sorry, Lou. Yeah, that actor's in Dark Knight Rises briefly.
Yeah, you'd said that.
Yeah, he's the one who, when they're all the cops are chasing him, and it says like a mouse trapped in the corner, and then the thing comes. I was like, "You got the wrong animal there, sir."
Oh, shit. Yeah.
yeah, I remember that.
No, I
And
remember
and
that guy. He's one of Christopher Nolan's many dumb cops.
Yeah,
Nice.
he's in that movie. Like, yeah, he's the dumb cop. He's like, put that away. day. It's like
Yeah.
you're in for a show tonight. Like,
Yeah,
that's
I
him.
remember that.
And I was like,
yeah.
oh, it's you, 20 years younger.
Yeah, just a
to the-
far significantly smaller role. Yeah.
Just to the point of the acting, though, for me, the standout was Billy Bob Thornton
Mhm.
because he was he had some of the best lines. He was one of the most sympathetic characters for me.
Oh, absolutely. I completely felt.
Yeah,
for
because
his
you feel for
character.
him like he is like probably the most good-hearted person there.
Oh, hands
And
down.
you just feel bad for him at every turn, and he takes all these shitty life situations and keeps being a good person at the end of the day. Like, yeah, he hit the guy in the head, but he always thinks he's trying to do the best that he can. And it was just like the way you can screw that up, trying to be the good guy. But I mean, it's credit to the writing as well. But Billy Bob Thornton, like, that's probably one of the best things I've seen him in. I would say this is one of the best films I've seen him in.
Yeah.
Like, he's a good actor, and I've seen him perform well previously, but I really like this for him. So there's that, and I also like the fact that it was even pointed out by Bill Paxton's character that his wife was kind of, every time she came up with an idea, everybody got killed. So he pointed that out. He pointed that out right before the final showdown, basically, where everybody's dead. And it was obviously they're foreshadowing it, but yeah, she's just, it was kind of interesting that she was kind of the mastermind behind how everything got so screwed up. Like, she masterminded everything, if you think about it, because she just said, "Dude, you should do this, and it would always go horribly wrong. Like, if he had just kind of stuck to his own plan, like his plan from the beginning, or
Could've
the
been
way he
simple.
wanted to do it, it probably would have been a lot more okay."
So it's all her fault.
I don't want to say that either.
I know that's the thing. It's like the movies is almost kind of saying like, yeah, don't tell your wife shit, otherwise it'll cause shit. But at the same time, I was like, that's obviously very wrong-minded to think that.
Well,
but
he acted on a lot of this stuff, and he made a
Yeah.
lot of decisions, but she was going along with some shit that I was not expecting her to go along
yeah,
with.
like she completely went along with didn't even bat an eye. Like,
When
oh,
he murdered her,
Yeah.
when he told her, I'm like, why is he telling her all this shit? Like, isn't she gonna react like in Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
Everybody talks about his wife's character going along with that stuff, and people are like, why can't she just go along with it? This is what it looks like when somebody unflinchingly goes along with your crazy criminal murderous acts that you're doing. Like, it just comes across as, whoa, like, wouldn't you question this?
It's money flash. Money
Yeah.
makes everything.
Well, maybe it just goes to show that there's no such thing as a passive observer in something like this. Like, kind of just by knowing about it, you're implicated, so you're kind of all in. Hence, that's probably why she got increasingly desperate.
Oh, for
Totally,
sure.
but you
Yeah.
figure she'd be conflicted about it.
Like, she
a
was all
little
about that
bit,
money.
right? Like, at first, like, I'm a good person, but money.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
pretty
true.
much.
She didn't even do that. She just went, well, fuck. Why don't you just fix this shit? Like, come on, let's go.
Yeah, I was a little peeved that and she had her monologue about wanting a better life, but it's like, okay, that came basically out of nowhere for her character. And I mean, you can't really, it's probably in a deleted scene somewhere or some original character write-up. I mean, I agree, her character was definitely the weakest. Probably could have been, especially considering the role that she ultimately played in everything kind of unraveling. I would have thought they would have maybe given her a little bit more depth.
I think she should have ran out in the snow with like a shotgun and she's been like, "This for my baby."
I just noticed the shirt you're wearing, Zach, and now it's making.
Oh,
me
you
laugh.
got it now. That's good. Yeah, see, I'm always themed when I come for the movies, and you got to, count in my paper. That's what
yeah.
it's all about that money,
Yeah, like
all about
last-
that green, baby.
For those who don't know, last episode, he wore an "Injustice for All" T-shirt from Metallica, and now he's wearing a Count from Sesame Street with "Count the money."
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just waiting for what you're gonna wear next.
Oh, well, we'll have to find out.
What a surprise!
Yeah.
You had mentioned Sarah, the wife's character, and yeah, her life was pretty dull and boring. But remember, she's in a library; that's her job. So she probably has a lot of opportunities to either sit there and read books in her spare time, or at least browse the back of the book, get an idea of what that story's about.
Oh yeah.
And then she
That's
formulates her own ideas. So it's like she sprang into it, like right when Bill Paxton's character told her about the money. And that's another strange thing, that Hank was worried that Lou was going to tell his wife about the money.
Yeah.
And then when Hank goes home, he immediately spills the beans.
Yeah.
He's like,
so
well, of
to
course I'm
speak.
gonna tell my wife.
Yeah,
Like,
and he's worried about Lou spilling the beans, like saying something. But that's just a weird double standard thing that Hank had. But Sarah...
well, because
Hank's-
Hank thought
yeah.
he knew better than anybody else, anyways.
Yeah, because he had the money, so he had the power.
Yeah, and thought that his wife would be fine too for some reason. But yeah, I like that as well. The fact that it's like they're pulling out of Lou's driveway and it's like, oh, he's probably telling her right now, and it's probably like 2 minutes of screen time later, like spilling the money on the table. Like, look at the money we got.
I like your
and
point
stuff.
though. She was probably like, I've read 17 books about this. I
Yeah.
am so ready.
That's exactly right. She
I've been
immersed
playing
herself
this
in
in
the
my
fiction.
head.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the one thing I was just thinking about too is like how, you know, the whole, like, back to the title, it's a simple plan. And what the beginning of the movie also shows is each character is they seemingly have a simple life. Everything seems to be fine. You know, they all have their own stuff and all that crap. But as the movie progresses, as I said, it peels the layers of their lives not being so simple. You know, the fact that they're truly not really content with their lives, but also just finding out more baggage about themselves. The fact, a little bit of a spoiler here, but Billy Bob's character reveals to Bill Paxton that their dad actually committed suicide.
Yeah.
He didn't just die, and just that finding that out, you're just like him. Like overall plot, that really didn't mean anything in terms of, but as a character piece and kind of just digging deep into like it's not everything is black and white. Not everything can be summed up like that. It's, oh, hold the money and that's it. It was more than just the money plan being not as simple as it was supposed to be. It was also the characters themselves, their simple lives, their simple way of looking at things, how they're perceived. The whole thing is much more deeper, much more twisted than anyone from seeing. I think that's also why shooting it from far away, from a distance, I think kind of goes along with that theme of like, you don't, like, from far away they may seem so simple that you couldn't, as they said, no one would believe you could do this. And then they repeat that a couple of times.
Yeah,
No one
yeah.
would believe you could do this, because I couldn't believe Andrew doing something like that, or you doing something like that, maybe me, but not like it's very, I just really like that part of it, how it wasn't just about the money. It was about mainly Bill Paxton's character, but really the whole
trio,
the trio,
or
and even the
yeah,
girl.
four of them.
Yeah, the four of them. Just it really just dug deep into their overall core. Like, what do they want? You know, showing with I forget his name again. The friend who the
Lou.
beard, Lou, right? How he has like gambling debts. That all of a sudden came up, and you're just like,
Yeah.
oh no, he has issues too. Oh, Bill Paxton, he's got a wife, he's got a kid, but now he's murdered like all these people. Now he's got to deal with that, and that he's capable of doing that. With the second he has money, all of a sudden, all his priorities, all his instincts change.
Yep.
And I think that was just how far can you go. But then the second he thinks, no, we're going to get caught, he gets rid of it. And I was like, I really like that.
Yeah, it's like finally hit like the point of no return.
Yeah, I mean, I like that too, but basically at that point it was kind of everything, like, because everything that happened was basically fighting for that money, and all that had been lost. There's like, everybody died and relationships were destroyed and all that jazz, and then he didn't get to keep the money anyway. And I mean, that's poetic justice, so I think I like the ending, but I mean, it is upsetting as well.
Yeah, I mean, he lost his brother and like
Yeah.
all that, right? I mean, it was a super tragic ending, and
Well, yeah, it's how
Yeah.
that suicide idea that came full circle as well. It kind of broke my heart a little bit.
yeah,
Why I was gonna say that I think the reason, because she was bringing up a good point too, right? As you know, you could kind of hear her arguing with him as he had already made the decision, I'm getting rid of this money, of like, we could just leave, like we could do the typical a criminal idea of why don't we just get up and leave the country, go somewhere where they never find us, we're gone, whatever, right? Like we could at least attempt that. But I think for him, it was the breaking point with his brother. The reason I liked it so much was because it was his brother sacrificed himself for the idea of, you have something to live for. You have something important in your life that I don't have. That, like I didn't need the money for anything really, but you had a plan from the beginning. Like you knew that money would help you with all this stuff. So, he sacrificed himself not for, it was for the idea of his brother's, his family and his life that he had. So to kind of uproot that, to just like leave, I felt like he made a decision of no, this is the last, this is what he sacrificed himself for. This is what I'm going to do. I'm gonna raise my kid. I'm gonna be a part of this family, and we're gonna go move forward. As hard as it is, but it would be kind of, I think that was kind of that breaking point for him. He needed to, I think that was it. He didn't want anything to do with the money anymore. He realized it didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
That and the bills were marked too. I mean, honestly, the risk was high.
You could try to run, though.
But it's hard, right? I mean, even if the bills are marked, you use them. You use one of the marked bills. It's like, shit. Like,
well, in that regard, it was like
so the risk would have been incredibly high, anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, essentially, yeah.
It was like she
point.
said. It was poetic justice. To the idea that you did all this crap and look, now you don't get anything. Too bad.
Go back to your job, boy.
You can see that Jacob, Billy Bob Thornton's character, he hesitates a lot in the movie.
Yep.
Because of what they're going through, and him just going along with it. Yeah, he tries to resist and pull back, but he does go along with it eventually until he reaches that breaking point in the end. And there's that scene where Jacob and Hank are in the baby's room, and Jacob is lying face down on the bed.
Yeah.
And they're going through that childhood memory. And Jacob breaks in with that question of, do you ever feel evil?
Mm-hmm.
Because he knows with what they've done and how far it's probably going to continue to go, to look back and reflect on what they've done and how they feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes back to that saying that, and it's often misquoted. The misquoted part is, money is the root of all evil, but that's not what it is.
Mm-hmm.
The love of money is the root of all evil.
Mm-hmm.
And you can plainly see that in this film. What Hank wanted to do in the beginning was the exact right thing. Take it to the police. Let them deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, maybe we'll get a small reward. Fine. And we can go back on with our dull, boring, regular, normal lives.
Mm-hmm.
But because they got all these childlike excitement feelings, especially you see him with his wife, he's like, we got all this money now.
Yeah.
And they're all so giddy about it, is the word, with the discovery of the money. But look at what happened to them because of wanting that money. 2 of them ended up dead.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Hank went back to his normal life, so he had that wide arc, but he'll never be the same because of that.
No, he definitely didn't make it out unscathed. I mean, with everything that had happened, for sure.
You kind of had to go through that, though, because can you imagine? So the only reason he found out that those serial numbers were written down was because all these murders and this crazy stuff happened. It all led to this point.
Yeah.
He would have never found that out. Like, how? Like, they found out, they thought they were unmarked. So if they just sat on that forever, it's not like the FBI would have straight up told them, yeah, we had serial numbers written down. Like, this is the very specific case where that would happen. So, like, in a way, it kind of worked out for him to have a normal, to go back to his life, because there was no other scenario after taking the money, unless he returned it or burned it, where he would be able to go back and again, he would have thought, oh, it's okay, gone to spend some, and then game over. He would have I didn't mean to do that, actually. But,
Nice.
to quote Bill Paxton,
Rest
it
in
would have been
peace.
game over, man.
Rest
So-
in peace, Bill Paxton.
So you brought up something, and I want to jump in on that. What if his character had been thinking about, oh, what if I had some money? What if I had a little bit of a better life? And fate, that unseen character says, okay, I'll give you that chance. So he takes that chance, look where it got him, and that's why he's so lucky he can go back to his normal life.
Mm-hmm.
So just to have that chance to touch it, and then all of a sudden realize, oh no, I screwed it up. So he's a very lucky character to be able to go back to what he was doing.
Super
Oh,
lucky.
super
Yeah.
lucky. Yeah. Incredibly lucky.
Yeah, that was kind of the point. Yeah, I guess I was trying to make there is he was super lucky. Any other way, and he would have ended up in jail. His family uprooted, everything, right? Like maybe more people would be alive, but at the end, for his character alone,
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of worked out the best way possible after taking the money.
Yeah, and he did lose his brother, and that's a terrible thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, for some reason I'm thinking of it as, oh, he got to go back to his normal life, and now everything
Scarred.
is like as was. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's scarred.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not just, losing a brother, but like the fact that you killed your brother. I mean, he was going to
Yeah.
kill himself, but like the fact that you still did it, I mean, that is a whole other extra layer of shit.
Well, yeah, you have to live with that.
Yeah.
You pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
It was more like a mercy kill in a sense,
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
And that's the only reason why I think he would do it, because I was sitting there, I'm just like, is he actually gonna do it? Or I was almost thinking like maybe he'll pull himself, just something like that. But no, it was really that the two scenes that I think really stood out as like really solid in terms of just as the most audience engagement and just overall just seeing the characters was the three of them at I'm blanking on all their names.
Totally lose house, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when it just how it slowly escalates, because at first you're thinking, oh, Billy Bob's gonna, you can see
Change sides.
change sides,
Yeah.
and it almost was, but then I think us in the audience and Bill Paxton were sort of like, oh no, he's actually using this to sort of get him to say something, and he did.
That was a great scene.
So
That
well
was so
acted.
cool.
Holy
And
shit.
that was
I
so-
got fooled. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, that's so good, and then they
Yeah.
got him, and then just it's like, and they were all these big bad issues, and them finding the money, and then also that issue, they're all drunk too. At least two of them were too. So again, alcohol and making decisions don't mix well together.
Probably just part of the reason why Bill Paxton's character goes and shows his trump card right after he tapes Lou making the confession. He's like, oh, I got
Jesus.
you on tape. Naturally, it's going to escalate from
Yeah,
there.
when
Probably,
you're drunk.
yeah,
Yeah.
probably not the best way to handle that situation.
And he already proved that he was like rowdy in the bar and stuff before too, and
Yeah.
the fact that he would like just fight random people for like
And
actually
it's
knocking
Minnesota.
into
They all
them.
have guns.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
They gotta hunt them foxes, man. They keep taking their chickens. That was like the only thing. That fox taking that chicken in the beginning is the only pure Sam Raimi moment in the entire movie.
Oh,
At
with the
least,
camera.
yeah, with the
Zoom in.
zoom push
Yeah.
in on that. That was it. The only other thing that could have, but they didn't, was anytime they went inside the plane. Because I was expecting, the head to go.
Oh,
and all that
sure.
stuff,
Yeah.
and it never did.
Those shock moments, like horror, and, they would like
there was
go.
none of that, which I think really helped with the suspense of the movie, because there wasn't any false or anything like because then we're always going to be on guard
Yeah.
throughout the whole movie. Whereas this one, it lets your guard down almost before every major
Yeah.
thing happens, because you think, oh, it's going to be okay, and then when it does happen, you're with the characters like, oh shit, and you're like, what now? And that it just kept doing that, and I liked how Raimi paced that, letting those talking moments drag out just maybe a little too long, so you feel almost uncomfortable, and you know that something bad's going to happen. You just don't know what. You have no idea where it can go, and I think that's a good testament to the movie in general. It's just it really was well paced and really structured well, and yeah, no, I got really nothing negative to say about this movie at all. I think it is, I think it's great, honestly.
Well, I'm glad that everybody seemed to enjoy the movie a whole lot, and it wasn't just a simple movie, even though in ways it was, but otherwise pretty smart in pacing and performances. And
But is it underrated?
is it underrated?
I
Well,
think
I
so.
obviously think it's very underrated. I think it's a very good movie overall, and I mean, yeah, I think everybody should see it as soon as they can. I think just simply, that's what you should do.
Yeah, like I think because the consensus around all the way around is nobody really has anything that bad to say about it. Everybody seemed to like it more than just a little bit. Like everybody was pretty, yeah.
I got one thing actually. There's one thing I noticed. There's one thing I noticed that I'm just like,
That bothered you.
what that? It just stood out so bad. Which is the very first time you see Bridget Fonda's character, she has a very big
pregnant belly.
buzz. That is one of the fakest baby bumps I have ever seen. It looked like it was made out of foam. From that far away.
It did look
looks
kind of
like
weird.
it was. I didn't write very many notes. That was the first thing I wrote.
That's
It was
hilarious.
like very fake baby bump. My God, like you could just see it's too perfect.
She gave birth to the American Sniper baby.
Oh, there you go.
If that's what you're nitpicking, though, man,
That's good.
That's good.
if that's all you have to
Yeah.
nitpick, really, then that's a pretty good sign.
No, I know, and that was within the first 5 minutes too. So if I
Yeah.
couldn't find anything else, that bugged me. But
Yeah.
that, again, it's such a nitpick. It's like one of those. It's so far away, but I was just looking at it like she had the robe off, and you can see a little bit more. But I was just looking at it, I was like, yeah, she's just wearing a big fat suit right now.
Hey,
And
man,
it's-
she got that low budget, though. She can't work with much.
It deserved to make more than its budget. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think we're
yeah,
all in
it's a
agreement
shame.
on that. It seems that way. So
Yeah, it was a really good film. Nice, quiet film. It makes you take stock of your life. Ask yourself, what makes you happy? Is it going to be money? Will a big influx of money do it? Well, look what it did for these people. Definitely see it. And the one natural thing in the film that you were saying, the true Raimi moment, was the fox raiding the hen house. And if it wasn't for that fox doing that natural thing, none of this would have happened.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Oh,
Actually.
really?
That's-
shit.
No,
yeah,
no.
that didn't cross my
that-
mind
yeah.
either.
No,
Yeah.
that kind of sets off the races.
How do you think they found the plane?
Yeah, no, I see that. It's just it was so at the beginning of the film that I didn't.
Yeah,
know.
no, I was so invested with everything else. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, the fox is the
Oh,
reason
yeah.
this. What did the fox say? You're all gonna die.
Yeah, and then it's
I'm
like, you
sorry.
know, the fox kills chickens, and then the men kill the men.
Damn.
But yeah, no, I definitely go check this out if you're a fan of just I don't know, like
Movies.
I think, movies. Yeah, I just think anyone could get something out of this. It's funny, it's suspenseful, it's very well shot, well acted. To me, it's just it's definitely one of those. Yeah, no, it was a really well made film. I have no issues with it whatsoever. I think it's definitely one of my favorite Raimi films. I think by far. And I haven't seen everything he's done yet, but of all the ones I have seen, I'm just
Seen
like,
a good amount, though.
I've seen a good amount.
I mean,
yeah.
yeah. There's
Yeah.
not many
Honestly,
others.
besides just Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, even that I would have to say this movie is probably like top 3 of his best movies that I've seen. So yeah, it's very underrated.
What about that Spider-Man 3, though? What about, come on now, Spider-Man 3?
So Ryan,
Let's just all pretend that movie doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I kind of like that movie, just saying.
oh, nice one.
Yeah, I really like that movie.
All right. Well, yeah. For once, I can say that I really liked a Raimi movie, so that's awesome. I think everybody should see this. I think everybody could get something out of it. And there's, what everybody else has said: great cine, great performances, great storytelling, lots of stuff to take away and think about. It's fantastic. I can't believe I hadn't heard of this already. Like even I know a couple of you mentioned Fargo and in terms of the tone and storytelling, and I can't believe this hasn't even been brought up as a comparison to that movie, at least not that I've heard. I didn't know anything about this movie going into it other than that it was directed by one of my less favorite directors, but no, I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought it would. I would watch it again, and I think it's definitely underrated.
Yeah, Fargo is, the main comparison it always gets compared to. And the fact that Raimi also asked the Coen brothers on advice and shooting, in the snow too. That right there. And the fact that they're good friends as well. It kind of makes the comparisons, really easy to see. But, yeah, all in
Minnesota.
all.
Don't forget about Minnesota.
Yeah, they didn't have the accent at all, which is nice. So
No.
like it kind of kept a little.
I don't know.
more-
As a Canadian, I appreciate the accent.
But that's like, I don't know. The Minnesota nice accent is a little
It's like East Coasters.
No,
it's not.
No,
Kinda. It's
just
just as
you, I'm not
ridiculous. It's just
understanding.
as ridiculous as the East Coaster.
Like,
Canadian
we make
accent.
like Canadians get made fun for saying, "Oh, yeah," but that one's like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, yeah, it's harder, but it's still like similar. You come on.
Anyone who
Let's
lives
be
in the snow
real.
goes, "Oh yeah."
Well, they're a little
the
higher
snow weather.
pitched. Yeah.
It's more lilty, more sing-songy.
the snow makes them die.
So don't simply just watch this movie. Go share it around with everybody, and get it tattooed, put it on a sign, strap it on an airplane, whatever you can do. Get people to see A Simple Plan. It's a pretty good plan to see it.
And a simple plan to Bad Santa.
Sure.
Yeah. Billy Bob's next winter movie.
Don't miss it, and don't poop yourself. Au revoir.